Hi, my name's Hadid, and today we're going to be going through some of the most important movements in gymnastics, things that we will have to teach our future students as future teachers in the classroom that is present in the syllabus. So we're going to be going through some safety tips before and after some of the movements. We're going to be going through how to do the movements and instructions of how to do them safely without any injuries caused or against any injuries that are already present in the classroom. We're going to be going through 5 main DMPs. We're going to be going through static motions, locomotions, springs, landing and rotation. And these are all going to be included in the routine that I've provided, at different times, and they will be provided through the explanations over the voiceovers. I hope you enjoy.
The first skill that's performed is a split leap on the mini tramp. To do this skill, you need to run towards the mini tramp, taking a leap off your dominant foot approximately 1 meter from the mini tramp, landing on both feet. Whilst in the air, lift both legs up on either side of your body as far as you can, keeping your legs as straight as you can. The safety tips that are involved in this skill is to do with the vault. The vault has skills which should be supervised by a teacher or coach at all times. There should be crash mats placed for the students to land on, and there should also be crash mats ahead of the students so that they are safe in case they land wrong and fall forwards or fall on the floor. The mini tramp should also have padding to protect the students from impacting with the springs or the metals. The next skill is the round off. To do this skill, you should take a slight run up, leading your dominant foot forward, placing your hands on the floor facing the side direction. Then you spin your legs over your head side on while keeping your hands straight. Before landing, spin your body through your hips and land with both legs together. A round off can be unsafe for students to perform for the first time. First, you should make sure students are able to do a simple cartwheel confidently and correctly. You should also take into consideration the new hip movement, making sure that students practice this hip movement on the floor before they perform the action. Also be aware of students' heads and their arm stability. To perform the handstand flat back, you run towards the vault, taking a leap off your dominant foot approximately 1 meter from the mini tramp, landing on both feet. Whilst in the air, lean forward and place both hands on the crash mat, allowing your body to follow over your head. Keep your legs straight like a handstand and allow your body to fall over onto the mat. Then sit up into a pike position by sitting with your legs straight together in front of you and your arms straight ahead of you. This is to finish off before coming off the mat. When performing a handstand flat back, you should also consider safety tips towards one's head and landing. Firstly, make sure students are told not to land on their heads. Remind students to land on their backs and that they have a crash mat and cannot hurt them if they land on their backs. Also, make sure that students have enough space to land on their back with their whole body in front of them. To use the hoop, you need to start with the hoop around your hand in between your thumb and the rest of your fingers. You should use your dominant hand in order to generate the best type of spin. Now you begin walking on your toes with your spare arm out for balance and lift one leg up at a time with your toes pointed. For the safety tips, make sure that no one is too close to the student who is spinning the hoop so that no one gets hurt if the hoop does leave the student's hand. The next skill is a front somersault on the mini tramp with a motorbike finish. Similar to the handstand flat back, run towards the vault, taking a leap off your dominant foot approximately 1 meter from the mini tramp, landing on both feet. With your hands placed above your head by the side of your ears, whilst you are in the air, lower your hands towards your hips and tuck your chin towards your chest, spinning your body. Once you have done a full rotation, land on both feet with your knees slightly bent and your arms out in front of you, balancing you, like you're sitting on a motorbike. Similar to the handstand, the safety tips for this front somersault needs to take into consideration the safety of a student's head. If a student is to land on their back or knees, they will not get hurt. However, they must first protect their heads. Teach students to find a spot ahead of them and rotate back to find that spot so they know they have completed a 360 flip. Also take into consideration that students must be aware they need to tuck their chin into their chest. The next skill is the handstand forward rolls. Begin with one leg leaning forward into lunge position with your hands above your head by your ears. While keeping your hands straight, lean onto the ground, placing both hands on the ground, pushing your legs over your head. Keep your legs and arms straight with your toes pointed. Then, tuck your chin to your chest and bend your arm slightly and roll forward slowly. Then repeat. The safety tips here is the head that is also at risk. These can be taught by accentuating students to tuck their chins into their chests so that they don't think they should land on their heads. Students should also practice basic forward rolls through the use of a foam wedge, and students must be confident in these before moving on to handstands and then moving on to forward rolls. For the split leap, first you do a chassé by taking a step forward and follow with the other leg tapping behind your leading leg. Then you take 2 big steps and leap into the air, splitting your legs as far as possible in front and behind you. Remember to keep your toes pointed. For the safety tips, make sure no one is around so they aren't hurt when legs are brought up in a split leap. Also, make sure there is enough space for the student to include the chassé and step leaps on the floor. The handstand forward roll here has already been explained. A half turn is then done. This can be done by standing on your toes with one foot in front of the other and pivoting around 180 degrees. Cartwheels are performed by leaning your dominant foot forward, placing your hands on the floor facing the side direction. Then spin your legs over your head side on and landing on one foot after another. Try and keep your legs straight. Safety tips for cartwheels can be quite important. Cartwheels have to take into consideration heads, arms, and strength. Cartwheels should not be attempted unless students are good at things like the front support and handstands. If students cannot hold a simple handstand against the wall for a long time, they shouldn't risk doing a cartwheel for the first time. The next skills are all static. These include front support, splits, and L-sit. A front support is held by holding your body up with both hands placed on the floor straight on the ground and balancing with your toes, similar to a plank position. The splits needs a proper warm-up with specific hamstring and quad stretches and can be practiced through lunges. With one leg straight ahead of you and one leg straight behind you, go as far down as you can and keep your toes pointed. L-sit is a simple static position. You sit with both feet in front of you, pointing your toes. Keep your back and shoulders straight and have your heads up above your ears. Safety tips here include repetition. For activities like the splits, students should learn how to do these gradually through learning flexibility, through the use of stretching and specific methods. The next section of the routine is the beam. There are 3 sections within the beam routine: the mount, the actions caused on the beam, and the dismount. For the mount, you have to place both hands on either side of the beam with your fingers facing along the beam. Then, push your arms to hold your body up swiftly while keeping your hands straight. You should lift your right leg over the beam and sit on the beam with one leg on either side. Then, swing your legs backwards, landing on your toes, in order to stand up and to begin your routine. The passe walks are then performed. This is done by having your hands out by your side to balance yourself. Keep one leg straight on the beam while raising another leg, pointing it inwards towards your knee. Then, straighten your leg out in front of you like an L shape while your toe is pointed and place it back onto the beam. Repeat this movement with the opposite leg. Halfway through the beam, a needle scale is performed. This is done by keeping your dominant foot straight on the beam while your hands are above your head by the side of your ears. As you lower your arms, lift your non-dominant foot behind you while it is straight. Then bring your foot back onto the beam. For the dismount, begin with your hands above your head by the side of your ears. While lowering your arms, bend your knees slightly and jump up and forward, keeping your body as straight as possible, and make sure you point your toes. Land with your knees slightly bent with your arms straight in front of you in a motorbike landing. The safety tips for the beam is very important. We should make sure that all height adjustment checks have been done before students do use the beam. We have to make sure that the legs are attached properly and the apparatus is ready for use. Students should also be told they should not touch the beam or change its height. Also, skills should be learnt on the floor before being taught on the beam. And before being taught on the high beam, students should learn the skills on the low beam, and then they should use the high beam. It is also important to place crash mats or spring mats underneath and beside the beam. That way, if a student does fall, they have something safe to land on. It can also be used through an absorption mat, which is placed on the beam for first-time users. This would be suitable for primary students.